We're at the part of the program where it's time to present the ITLA 2021 Lifetime Achievement Award. As you all know, this year's award is going to Tom Dorman. Tom's a good friend of all of ours and a past president of the association and a longtime contributor to everything that we do for our clients and for the people of Indiana. I'm going to invite his partner, Dan Buba, to come up and say a few words, and then Dan will introduce Tom. So Dan, come on up.
Thank you, Fred. It is my honor to introduce this year's Lifetime Achievement Award recipient, my law partner, Mr. Tom Dorman. Tom and I have practiced together for 15 years now, hard to believe, and I have learned a lot about Tom over those years. Not only is he an exceptional lawyer, but he is a kind, compassionate gentleman who believes in giving back and participating in the legal community to the best that we can. I cannot tell you how many times we have had a sticky situation where the defense is presenting us a unique legal argument, and Tom will look at me and he will say something along the lines of, you know, I've been practicing law for 40 years and I have never heard of that. And I will say to Tom, great, I will cite that in our brief. Tom Dorman says he's never heard of that, Your Honor. But I will tell you, he has done that dozens and dozens of times over the past 15 years, and I cannot think of one time where Tom was wrong. More importantly, though, and this is something I learned about Tom very quickly after we began practicing law together, is Tom is a very kind, compassionate, and giving man. One of the things that he is notorious for is always looking at the other side. And I'll give you an example. It just happened this morning. I was on a case management call. I was doing it by Zoom. It was in Fort Wayne. All the attorneys were from Indianapolis. And the defense attorney drove all the way to Fort Wayne for a 5-minute pretrial conference. And of course, I am going nuts like I usually do as the hothead. And I said, what the hell is he doing? And Tom very calmly says to me, he goes, well, you know, those defense insurance companies have probably screwed him around on some of his bills before. He goes, this is fine. And that's Tom. Tom is just a gentleman who is compassionate, and it's one of the first things I ever used to describe him. One of the first words I ever used to describe Tom was his compassion. And the other thing about Tom's willingness to give back to the legal community, I cannot tell you how much money, time, effort that we have expended and jettisoned from our law firm to give back to not only the State Trial Lawyers Association, but to associations across the country. And Tom's response to me whenever I've complained about those things is, this is what we do as trial lawyers. And over the years, I have come to learn that that is exactly what we are here for, is to give back and to participate as trial lawyers, not just here in Indiana, but across the country. We are all brothers and sisters in this thing, and I've learned that, probably one of the most important things I've learned from Tom Dorman. So I'm looking forward to another 15 years, Tom, and it is my distinct honor and privilege to announce and introduce this year's Lifetime Achievement recipient, Mr. Tom Dorman.
Wow. Thank you, Fred, for giving me this award. This is something I will cherish for my entire life, I can tell you that. And thanks to everyone who's in this audience. Can't tell you what this means to me. Dan, thanks for those kind words. Practicing with you for 15 years has been a wonderful experience for me. You're like a brother to me. I love you like a brother. We have created a condition in our office that is wonderful. We have Kyle Ring with us now as a partner, and Kyle's a fantastic young lawyer that has been very involved with ITLA. And Dawn Weber, I have to mention Dawn Weber. Dawn Weber's been with us for 12 years. She's our paralegal, office manager, you name it, she's it. Dawn, you are remarkable. You're a rock star. And believe me, we know how lucky we are to have you. Number of times I've resolved cases, and I'm sure Dan and Kyle have had this experience, and clients say, I hope you're paying Dawn. Hope you're paying her well. She does a hell of a job for you guys. I haven't passed that on to Dawn, so don't tell her. Betsy, thank you for nominating me. Betsy Green, you've been a great friend, colleague for years, and inspire all of us with your leadership. And when I began to practice the law was 1976. There were no cell phones. There was no internet. And there sure wasn't a listserv where you could immediately ask 300 or 400 colleagues about a problem you had. And I want to tell you, those were lean years. Those were tough years. I naively thought I could open up a general practice in Indianapolis, only living here for 3 years and not being born and raised here, and I quickly learned better. Fortunately, within a couple of years, and fortunately, I'd also met the love of my life, and I'm going to talk about her and my family here in a little bit. Met the love of my life, Judy, and we were able to live on her income as a psychiatric social worker, and I was scraping by and stayed in the practice and got a break and became a deputy prosecutor. A great way to learn to think on your feet. Was in misdemeanor court, and those of you who know about misdemeanor court, it's you present it with the facts about 5 minutes before the trial begins, and the judge says, the prosecution ready to present their case. So you learn to think on your feet, and it was a great experience. And then I was very lucky, a big change in my practice. My brother John Dorman, who I'm sure some of you know, John's retired now. He practiced for over 40 years in Jeffersonville, Indiana. Had a criminal and family law practice. But John had gotten to know an attorney in 1982, a prosecutor in Owen County. And John said, you got to meet this guy. He is coming to Indianapolis to open up a personal injury practice, and I think you guys would hit it off. Now, he's a little bit crazy, Tom. And, of course, he was talking about Vern Petrie. And Vern is a one of a kind. Vern, you know you're one of a kind. What can I say? But I learned from Vern. I want to tell you the things I learned from Vern. I learned tenacity. I learned respecting your client. I learned that your client had a right to be heard, even if they were against a corporation or a manufacturer. And I learned not to be intimidated. Vern, I will always be thankful for those things you taught me. But I wanted to open my own practice. So in 1984, I began a PC, started my own PC, which we still have today. And about that time, Rich Haley and Mary Beth Ramey came into my life. I met them. They were in leadership of ITLA, and they encouraged me to get involved in ITLA. And Rich and Mary Beth, that was probably the best advice I ever received in my professional life. And you remain good friends to this day, but that's one thing I look back and the best thing that I can remember. In ITLA, all of us, it's been a community of lawyers. Best way I could describe it is a community of lawyers, community of friends, colleagues. We're all involved in the same grind. It's not an easy business. We have a lot of enemies. And it is amazing to me how this organization over the years has developed a cohesiveness that's unlike any other state organization that I've seen. And I've talked to friends, and I know Dan has, and Fred, I'm sure you have too, from other states, and they just can't believe the generosity and the sharing we have on our listserv. We have a remarkable resource. Don't ever take it for granted. Don't ever take it for granted. ITLA years, I got in leadership. ITLA has made me, whatever success I've had, I owe in large part to ITLA. Education, mentoring, networking, learning from other lawyers. The ITLA staff has been remarkable throughout the time I've been involved. Mickey Wilson was a rock for years and years and years, and then she's passed it off to our new rock, Jason. The continuity has been amazing. We haven't skipped a beat. And the other staff people are too numerous to mention, but Sarah's in the room, so I will mention Sarah. She's been wonderful to work with, as have many, many others, too numerous to mention. Greg Cross, I want to mention Greg Cross in my remarks. Greg was the amicus chair back, gosh, this is probably in the 90s. I'm not so sure anymore about the dates. But Greg was the amicus chair, and he got me involved in amicus, and I was kind of a natural for it. I had worked at the Court of Appeals as a clerk, and it was always a bit of a nerd for brief writing and legal argument. And that became a really great experience working on the amicus committee. And it's been great to see where that committee has gone under the leadership of Mark Scott and now Tara Worthley. It's just remarkable what we've been able to accomplish in the amicus committee. I think that's one of my proudest achievements, is having some small part in that. Now, I want to talk about, I'm going to leave you with a few things for the younger lawyers. You learn from mistakes in life. One of the good things about getting older is you get wiser. The problem with that is you get wiser because you make mistakes. We're all going to make mistakes. We're human, and that's natural. And the important thing is to learn from your mistakes. And there's a few things I want to share that I've called, keys to a healthy and productive life as a lawyer. So I'm going to end with that. But before I do, I want to talk about the most important people in my life, my family. My wife, Judy, Judy and I will celebrate our 47th wedding anniversary at the end of this month. A remarkable achievement that anyone could put up with me for 47 years. Judy, you've been absolutely been in my corner the entire time. You allowed me to start a practice. You allowed me to struggle. You allowed me to basically bring in starvation wages and live off of your income for many years. And we have been a team the whole way, and I hope we have 47 more years. And we've had 3 wonderful children. The oldest, Jacob. Jacob, you know what you mean to me. I'm not going to get into a lot of detail, but Jacob lives in Indianapolis. He's in sales. He's been very successful in sales of electronic medical software. Right now, he's working with pediatricians. It's remarkable what's happening in that area, electronic medical records. Really an advance for medical care. Jacob married a wonderful woman, Jamie. Jamie's probably the greatest daughter-in-law anybody could have. Jamie is a speech therapist, and now she's also an entrepreneur, has her own cosmetic business. And in addition to Jacob, then the second time we got pregnant, I remember Judy calling me from the doctor at 22 weeks, and she said, "You got to come in, we got news." And we found out she was pregnant with twins. And those of you who have twins know what I'm talking about when I say that's really something to deal with. But it's been remarkable. Sally and Andrew, so fortunate they're both in town. Andrew is a bilingual teaching assistant at Attucks High School. Amazing dedication he gives to those kids. He's getting his master's degree now. Sally is in early childhood education, loves children. Both of them remarkable people, remarkable what they give to the community. And I'm just so proud to have all of them as my children. And finally, last but not least, is my 2 granddaughters, Hadley and Amelia. Those of you who have gotten to be grandparents know just how special that is. Sort of the icing on the cake. So, bring it back full circle and conclude my remarks. The things I would tell young lawyers, and there's no excuse for not doing this now because we have the listserv, we have the capability to communicate immediately with 300 or 400 people. Join the ITLA Sustaining Member listserv. This is not a pitch for money. This is a pitch for your career. And monitor the listserv. Now, there's a balance you have to reach, because if you stay on that listserv, you could be on that thing all day. But monitor it a couple times a week, because the things that I've learned off of there, even in discussions that I wasn't part of, that I had on a case, have been, I can't even name the number of times that's happened. Ask questions. Ask questions. Don't bite off more than you can chew. Biggest mistake I see young lawyers make is get involved in a case that they're either not ready for from an experience standpoint or from a financial standpoint. Don't do that. Don't do that. It's not fair to yourself, not fair to your client. And finally, share your knowledge with your colleagues. Keep the community we have. Support ITLA and support AAJ, the national organization. Both of them have the same mission that is actually mentioned on this Lifetime Achievement Award, dedication to the preservation of the rights of the injured. And so stay involved. It takes a community to do this. And thank you all again. I truly appreciate this award.
Tom, it's my honor to present the Indiana Trial Lawyers Association Lifetime Achievement Award for an attorney who has devoted a lifetime of distinguished service to the Indiana Trial Lawyers Association and in recognition of exceptional dedication to the preservation of the rights of the injured. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Fred.